Binta approaches the 5 families Undoli demanded, but her true purpose isn't recruitment, it is investigation. She documents every affected child's symptoms with scientific precision, noting how the supernatural drain follows a horrifying escalation pattern that reveals the true scope of the Jengu's addiction. Each international intervention requires more life force than the previous one because Ndoli's experiential hunger demands constantly increasing dramatic intensity. Saving hundreds no longer satisfies her. She needs thousands, then tens of thousands. The scale must always grow to generate the emotional high she craves from being humanity's savior. Binta realizes they are trapped in a supernatural feedback loop designed by Ndoli's vice. More dramatic distant interventions require more local suffering to power them, which drives the Jengu to seek even greater distance causes to justify the increasing harm she inflicts on her own community. The pattern will escalate until she's draining entire villages to power interventions that feel significant enough to satisfy her addiction to being the hero of increasingly spectacular crises. Meanwhile, Etham's condition deteriorates at accelerating speed. His seizures become so frequent that Keso can barely leave his bedside. The boy speaks in multiple voices during episodes, sometimes Ndoli's gap-toothed pronunciation, sometimes languages that don't exist. His body burns with supernatural fever, while his spirit seems to flicker between worlds. Watching her son fade before her eyes, Keso makes a decision that requires no consultation. She approaches Ndoli privately that evening at the forest shrine, offering herself as substitute sacrifice. An adult's willing life force should provide more power than several children, plus the narrative appeals perfectly to Jengu's heroic self-image, maternal sacrifice for international humanitarian work. Ndoli's eyes light up with genuine excitement at the proposal. This represents massive energy potential wrapped in exactly the kind of dramatic story that fits our addiction to meaningful experiences. She eagerly accepts, scheduling the ritual for dawn at the sacred clearing. Binta discovers her sister's plans when she finds Keso preparing traditional burial clothes. Keso explains her logic with devastating clarity. Etham is dying anyway. Other children face the same fate, and perhaps a willing death will satisfy Ndoli's hunger enough to break the cycle of supernatural predation. Binta tries arguing, but her sister's reasoning carries terrible weight. At least this way, the killing might finally end with one meaningful sacrifice rather than the slow drain of innocent children's lives. As dawn approaches, they gather at the forest shrine for the life force transfer ritual. Keso lies on the stone altar while Ndoli prepares mystical implements, her gap-toothed smile wider than ever at the prospect of such dramatic sacrifice powering our most ambitious intervention yet. Comprehensive refugee camp healing that will save tens of thousands. The ritual begins with golden light flowing from Keso into Ndoli's eagerly outstretched hands. But as her sister's life force drains away, like water through cracked calabash, Binta focuses on the mystical communications device that has been bothering her since yesterday's confrontation. The symbols and